Crime, Wine, and Chaos contains adult language and graphic content. Listener discretion is advised.
Nobody puts baby in the corner, Chaos Kids. I'm Amber.
And I'm Naomi, and this is Crime, Wine, and Chaos.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Because somebody literally said that to me like 2 days ago.
Spooky.
It's spooky ooky, and you're creeping me out a little bit.
Sorry, sister. Oh, were you baby in this scenario?
I'm not sure who baby was in this scenario. That was never really determined.
I see.
Hi,
sister. How are you?
We were just talking before we hit record about how we're both kind of having a day.
Yeah.
What's going on with you?
I mean, nothing. My regular job, my other job has just been really demanding lately. So, which is good,
Yeah.
I'm just a little bit whelmed, not quite overwhelmed,
Just
whelmed. So that's okay.
Okay. All right.
It's all good stuff, though.
Okay.
What about you?
Oh, I went to therapy this morning for the first time in like 6 months.
Good for you. Dang,
Yeah.
sister.
Yeah. It was good. It's not like, just to check in, just a pulse check, nothing major.
Mm-hmm.
It was not one of those like, I have been wrecked from it,
Yeah.
Sometimes you come out of therapy and you're like, I'm done for the day. It wasn't like that.
That's good.
It seems like it's one of those days where I will say, and I know that this won't come out for a few weeks, but the last day and a half of internet commentary on what they're calling assassination of the CEO of United Healthcare has been wild.
Yeah.
It's just wild out here on the internet.
God.
I'll say to you what I said to my friend John Henry a little bit ago today. This is the most unifying event I've ever seen in the United States since 9/11. And it might actually be for a more righteous reason. Do you know what I'm saying?
Although assassination is never okay.
I mean, look, that goes back to the whole, violence begets violence. And who has more blood on their hands in this scenario? The CEO of United Healthcare, who denied more claims than any other healthcare company that exists and probably resulted in the death of thousands, if not millions of people because of it, or at least lives ruined because of it, or like the one guy who killed the one guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the sentiment, generally speaking, amongst most of the people on the internet, which is like, yeah, it sucks. I would never go and do that. But also, we understand how we got here,
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
People can only take so much,
Yes. People can only take so much. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Thank you.
You're like, I can only take so much, Naomi. Will you just stop talking?
No, this is literally a talking thing with what we're doing. If you stop talking, we don't have a show.
And it was chaotic.
Bye. I mean, I suppose I could talk to myself. I don't know. That we'll get a lot of listeners that way. Oh my God.
What are you drinking,
Thank you for
sis?
asking. I'm drinking a Riesling from Airfield Estates, which is in the Yakima Valley.
Oh, nice.
Home sweet home-ish.
Nice. Sort of local-ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
I decided to treat myself today with a little fever tree. That's as my,
It's so small.
I know, I
so
love
cute.
it.
Yeah.
I could actually finish it and I don't feel gross,
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Do we have any announcements for the good of the order?
We do. We have a new Chaos Kid.
We do.
He's been a friend of the show for a while, Mr. Josh B.
Mr. I made Dick's Burgers for a football game one time. Josh
That's
B.
right.
Yes.
That's the one and only.
And now he's officially a Chaos Kids Club member.
Welcome.
Welcome. Love it.
Glad to have you.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah. Well, now that we've established that you are doing crime, you're sounding,
I'm on crime,
you're
right?
sounding like
crime,
me.
Right?
My God. You are on crime. Do you want to tell me?
We have done a lot of recording. 2 weeks in a row, we've recorded twice. So I'm trying to keep up.
I know. It's like what am I doing? When is this released? I don't know.
I don't even
tell me
know.
something.
Exactly. Yes, I have a crime for you.
Okay.
And in keeping with the theme, this happened around Christmas time.
Oh.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna tell you about the San Diego Christmas killings.
Yikes. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it's around 1:15 a.m. on December 24th. So very, very early morning beginning moments of Christmas Eve day, right?
Mhm.
A call comes into 911 from 22-year-old Ilona Flint. She was with her fiance's brother, 22-year-old Sal Belvedere. And they were in his car in the parking lot of the Mission Valley Mall in San Diego, near Macy's, where Ilona worked.
Mhm.
The mall had been open late in the lead up to Christmas Day for all those last-minute shoppers. She tells the 911 operator that she and Sal have been shot.
Her and her future brother-in-law have been shot. Okay.
Yes. When the first responders arrive, they find Sal in the driver's seat, shot multiple times in the torso and right between the eyes.
Oh.
But he is still alive.
Oh my God.
Ilona was slumped over in the passenger seat, shot in the back and in the back of the head, and pronounced dead at the scene.
But she was the one making the call?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And 22 caliber shell casings were found in the car.
Okay.
Sal was rushed to the hospital, but he would succumb to his injuries 2 days later.
Mm.
Police ran the plates on the car that they found the two in, and it was registered to Leonard Belvedere, which was Sal's dad. So they went to the Belvedere home and informed Leonard of the shooting. And this is when it becomes clear that Sal's brother, Ilona's fiance, 24-year-old Gianni Belvedere, is missing. Gianni had actually been in the same parking lot in his car, a green 2004 Toyota Camry with Utah license plates. He was waiting for Ilona's shift to end so he could drive her home. And Sal and Ilona had spent about an hour and a half before they were shot searching for Gianni.
Why is Sal there?
Because this comes up later.
Okay, sorry. We can wait until...
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. Sal and Gianni and Ilona are like the Three Musketeers.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So initially the police suspected that this might be a love triangle turned tragedy, and they received a tip from a witness to the shooting, a mall employee who had called 911 3 minutes after Ilona did. And that employee said she saw a man of average height standing outside the driver's window of Sal's car, and that the suspect drove away in a car that matched the description of Gianni's vehicle. But interviews with family members and other witnesses lead police to believe someone else was responsible for shooting Ilona and Sal. Everyone they talked to who knew Gianni said there was absolutely no way Gianni did this. This also meant that whoever did kill his brother and his fiancée may be the reason that Gianni was missing.
Right.
Friends described Ilona as a loyal friend and a hard worker. She and Gianni had been dating for about 8 years and were engaged to be married. All three victims were originally from Utah and had grown up together there. Ilona moved to San Diego after Gianni and his family relocated there from Utah. The brothers would often take turns picking Ilona up from work. The trio were the best of friends. The Belvedere brothers owned an Italian restaurant with their dad. The Belvederes were a really tight-knit family. The brothers' mom had been chronically ill for many years, and they, along with their father and Ilona, did their best to take care of her.
Oh.
Ilona was already very much a part of their family. Sal and Gianni's mom considered her also one of her children.
That's sweet.
Gianni loved Ilona and was very protective of her. He was described as hilarious, incredibly book smart, outgoing, always in a good mood, and wanted more than anything to help his parents financially so they could have the retirement that he thought they deserved.
Oh, these sound like such sweet brothers.
The two brothers were super tight. Sal was the artistic one. He was described as gentle. If someone lost a pet, Sal would knock on every neighbor's door until that lost pet was found. Ilona was described as beautiful inside and out. Detectives focused in on Gianni's cell phone history. His phone had shut off completely at 11:45 p.m. the night of the shooting and never came back on. His last call was to a cousin who told investigators that Gianni was headed to the mall to pick up Ilona, which he always did because she didn't like to drive. Ilona's phone history showed that she had been texting Gianni shortly before the shooting, but got no response from him. She also called Sal, and he went to the mall to get her. So she was waiting for Gianni to come get her. She was texting him because he didn't show up. He wasn't responding. So she called Sal. I think she woke him up and was like, Gianni's not here. So Sal came.
Okay.
So from like midnight to 1 a.m.-ish, 1:30, they sat in the parking lot while Ilona called local hospitals looking for Gianni.
Oh.
Following the shooting, police released a vague description of a possible shooting suspect described as a man wearing tan pants between 5'9" and 5'11", based on the description from the mall employee that had witnessed the shooting, or at least witnessed some part of the interaction between that guy and Sal and Ilona. Gianni was listed as a missing person at risk, and police told the public that he may be driving his green Camry. The Belvedere family put up a $10,000 reward for any information about Gianni's whereabouts and the arrest of anyone involved in Sal and Ilona's murders.
Okay. Yeah, you drink that fancy drink.
Look, I don't drink him all the time.
No, I know.
I keep him in the... It's like a very...
It's a treat. I get it.
It's a treat. So almost a month goes by with no information, no leads, and Gianni is still missing. On January 9th, San Diego police confirmed that Gianni's cell phone and credit cards had not been used since he vanished.
Oh, no.
Then on Friday, January 16th, the Riverside Police Department, a city north of San Diego County, received a call around 11:45 a.m. about a vehicle parked at a shopping center that had a foul odor coming from the trunk.
Oh, no.
Police arrived around 12:30 p.m., ran the plates and I think the VIN in order to discover that it was Gianni's Camry.
Okay.
In the trunk was a very badly decomposed body. Cans of air fresheners with taped down triggers were found in the trunk with the body.
Oh, God. That's gross.
San Diego police headed up to Riverside and made the announcement of the discovery to the public the next day. The only information they could give at the time was that the person was 24 years old, which I don't know how they could be so specific.
Yeah.
And the victim of a homicide.
That's it.
That's what yeah.
Okay.
An autopsy would be required to positively identify the body. The next day, someone from the Belvedere family confirmed that the body found in the trunk was Gianni, but it would be almost a week later on the 23rd of January when the police would officially confirm that it was him.
Okay.
And the following day, on the 24th, the San Diego police held a press conference where they released more details of the possible suspect tied to what was now officially a triple homicide.
Yeah.
They said the suspect was a man wearing a black hoodie with white bands in the biceps area of the sweatshirt, tan pants, and white tennis shoes. He was described as somewhere between 5'10" and 6 feet tall and believed to have been at the mall at 11:15 p.m. on December 23rd and then returned to the mall at 12:15 a.m. on December 24th. The police also assured the Belvedere family and the public that they were working diligently to solve the case, had spent hundreds of hours on it already, and that if the case can be solved, it will be.
Did they see this person on like CCTV at both of those times or something, or?
I never got any indication anywhere in the story that they saw this man on CCTV.
Okay, these were just witnesses?
I think so.
Okay.
2 weeks later, they finally told the public that Gianni had also died of a gunshot wound to the head.
God.
In March, the Belvedere family set up a website filled with all the information they had about the case and their murdered loved ones. And the next month, desperate to find answers to the murders, the family hosted fundraisers to raise money to add to the reward fund. Investigators had some evidence to work with. Gianni had been shot behind the left ear as though someone had been standing over him and to the side, and the bullet was recovered from his skull. Forensic analysis showed that the same gun was used for all 3 murders. Investigators were also able to lift DNA off the tape used to hold down the triggers on the air freshener cans, which was uploaded into CODIS.
Okay.
But no matches came back. It would be June 21st, 2014, almost exactly 6 months after the murders, the San Diego PD would confirm that an arrest had been made in the triple homicide of Gianni, Sal, and Ilona. The man's name was Carlo Mercado, 29 years old at the time, and was booked on 3 counts of first-degree murder. 6 months prior, in January, less than 24 hours after Gianni's body was found, Mercado had been stopped at an interior border patrol checkpoint in San Clemente, California, about an hour north of San Diego. He had an AR-15 style assault rifle, hundreds of rounds of ammunition, and numerous other firearms. Border Patrol also found a .45 caliber handgun, a .22 caliber pistol with a threaded barrel, and a homemade silencer.
Who tries to go through Border Patrol like that?
Well, these checkpoints are interior, so they're like, he's not going over the border.
Yeah, that's interesting. But still.
Have you ever encountered one of these interior checkpoints? It's weird.
No, what's an interior checkpoint for?
You're literally just like driving down the freeway and you like, sometimes they open up these stations and they just have Border Patrol there and they make you stop and they talk to you and they ask you questions.
It's just like a pop-up Border Patrol wherever?
Not pop-up, like the buildings are there, but I don't know if they're always manned and they're always stopping and checking people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there's Border Patrol stop checkpoints because technically Border Patrol has jurisdiction 100 miles from the border everywhere.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
I've literally, and I didn't know this, I literally was stopped at one in like Texas one time.
Really?
Nowhere near the border. Nowhere near the border.
Weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What did they ask you? Just like, where are you going? Or like what?
I don't remember. It was when we were on our trip to Austin. This was like a decade ago or more. I can't remember what they asked.
So weird.
But yeah. Like, are you a U.S. citizen? Okay, bye.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is, hi, welcome to America.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. So yeah, they found a homemade silencer. So this whole thing meant numerous violations of California gun laws, this whole haul that they found in his car. Mm-hmm. Mercado was the registered owner of only 2 of the firearms, but he had no criminal record. So he was released at the scene and his guns were confiscated. So he was free to go, but the California Department of Justice and special agents kept an eye on him as they built their case against him for the illegal .22, the silencer, and some of the magazine clips.
Yeah.
Then in April, the special agents had built a case against Mercado for the illegal firearms, and they were able to arrest and charge him. Mercado pled guilty to having the illegal silencer. As part of the plea agreement, his DNA was taken and uploaded into CODIS. Mm-hmm. And sure as shit, it was a match for the DNA found on the tape in the trunk of Gianni's car.
Yeah. Wow.
So fucking random.
Random. I know. And this is 2000, what?
By this time, it's 2014.
Okay. Because I know it's like a state by state thing. Like some states, it's any felony and it's a mandatory DNA swab. Some it's violent felonies and it's a mandatory DNA swab. We have mandatory DNA swab for misdemeanors of domestic violence.
The way this was written in the article, it made it sound like it was part of the plea agreement.
Oh, to hand it over. Like,
yeah,
that wouldn't have normally been part of it.
Hard to say, but that's how it was read when I read it. I was like, it was part of the deal.
Interesting.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
After being arraigned and formally charged, a DA said that Mercado was facing either life in prison or the death penalty for what was considered a capital case. Mm-hmm. In a September 2014 preliminary hearing, the DNA evidence was presented along with the silencer. This is also when one of the homicide detectives testifies that Sal had spent several months out of state as part of a detox program from heroin addiction, and that Gianni also had a heroin addiction, spending up to $250 a day to support his habit. Mm. This seemed to confirm suspicions the police had pretty much this whole time, that this whole series of events may somehow be related to a drug deal gone horribly wrong.
Oh.
Later that month, in another preliminary hearing, Mercado's attorney raised questions about Mercado's mental competency to stand trial, and the judge ordered he be held without bail until he could be evaluated and suspended criminal proceedings until such time. In November 2014, the judge found Mercado not competent to stand trial and ordered he be treated at Patton State Hospital for 3 years or until he is found to be competent enough for trial.
3 years? Jeez. Okay.
Mm-hmm. This shit went back and forth because almost a year later, the hospital sent him back to jail saying they found him competent, and his defense requested another competency hearing. So in December of 2015, so now we're 2 years out from the murders, Mercado has another competency hearing where the judge ruled that he was in fact competent. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the deputy DA said the killings appeared to be random, perhaps as a result of a road rage incident. They were like grasping at straws for a motive this whole fucking time.
They can't verify that the two knew each other through rehab or what is that what you said?
Sal had gone to rehab.
Oh, okay. They can't verify that possibly he knew these brothers?
Well, we get there.
Okay.
Over the course of the next year, both sides prepared for trial, with a judge setting the date for April 3rd, 2017. Sometime in July of 2016, Mercado ends up in the hospital for about a month, and I believe it was a suicide attempt. And on January 12th, 2017, 3 months before the start of trial, Mercado takes a plea deal in exchange for life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Okay.
Probably to avoid the possibility of the death penalty.
Right.
And he pled guilty to all 3 murders.
Wow.
So a week later, prosecutors released to the press detailed records of the evidence they had planned to present to a jury in the case had they gone to trial.
Right.
Part of that evidence included the fact that cell phone records showed that none of the victims' 3 phones were ever in the same place at the same time in the entire year leading up to the murders as Mercado, which meant this really was absolutely, totally fucking random.
Oh my God. Wow. Why?
The only speculation they had after all of that was that for some reason, Mercado wanted Gianni's car.
But then he doesn't...
Or the road rage incident.
But then he doesn't even know that because Saul and Ilona are in a different car. He doesn't make the connection that they are together or know each other. Like, how does that happen?
We'll get there.
Oh my God.
So there was also evidence that Mercado had a history of motorcycle accidents and attempting to scam money from the other drivers involved. There was an incident in August of 2012, so about a year and a half before the murders, where Mercado rear-ended some guy in a truck, and he got really aggressive with this guy in an email, and he was like detailing the cost of all these parts and shit to repair his motorcycle, and told this guy it's going to be like $2,000, but he'd be willing to take half if the truck driver just paid him cash. But since the accident was Mercado's fault, the driver of the truck took his dad's advice and just ignored Mercado. Mm-hmm. In fact, Mercado had filed a false insurance claim on his motorcycle just days after the triple murder took place.
Oh.
He actually did get a payout on that, even though the agent said that they were pretty sure it wasn't a real claim.
They just didn't want to deal with it?
I guess.
Okay.
Whatever the confrontation was that precipitated Gianni's murder, Mercado clearly shot Gianni, shoved his body into the passenger seat, and then took off in Gianni's car, leaving his motorcycle behind. When he returned an hour and a half to 2 hours later, presumably to get his motorcycle, with Gianni probably still in the passenger seat and dead, Sal and Ilona must have seen Gianni's car. And whatever happened, right? Like Mercado decided he needed to kill them too, likely because they'd witnessed him in Gianni's car.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
Mercado came back to the scene the next day with a rented U-Haul truck and trailer to remove the motorcycle from the crime scene after the San Diego PD investigators were no longer at the scene. He also taped a different license plate over Gianni's license plate and then later stashed the car where it would be found in Riverside.
I'm also...
And to this...
Oh, sorry.
And to this... No, I was going to say this, and I'm done. And to this day, no clue as to actual motive.
Oh my God, sister. I'm surprised that if he left his motorcycle in the mall parking lot overnight, that the police didn't make note of that when they were investigating.
Right? Maybe he stashed it somewhere. I don't know.
This is so weird and unsatisfying.
I'm so sorry.
Maybe one day he'll provide some information. I mean, this poor family, that was all three of their kids, basically.
Essentially, yes.
Oh my God.
I mean, well, I think the brothers had at least a couple sisters.
Okay, but still.
Still. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Random.
So random.
So random.
And like the coming back,
Wow.
The whole thing is just so impulsive. It's impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Which I guess could speak to maybe some sort of road rage thing. Maybe.
Yeah, or addiction, just being, he sounds like he was really hard up for money.
Well, I didn't read anything about Mercado being an addict.
Oh, okay.
But maybe.
Okay.
It was Gianni and Sal that were addicts.
Okay, I see. Oh my God. Yeah, that's extreme road rage, though. Wow.
And also the part about with the speculation of oh, well, maybe he wanted to steal Gianni's car. It's well, then he abandoned the car with Gianni in the trunk. So it wasn't really about having the car either.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
There's just that's what I'm saying. It's so impulsive and rash. And maybe he doesn't even know what his fucking motive was.
Yeah. Well, and if he was determined to be incompetent for some time, who knows what was going on with his...
Right.
Oh my God. That was really unsatisfying.
I'm so sorry, sister.
God, it's okay. I'll allow it.
It was a big deal in San Diego. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Jesus. God, that...
Triple homicide, Christmas Eve day,
Yeah. That poor family.
At a shopping mall? Yeah, that poor family.
God. Okay, well, I don't have anything that is a palate cleanser.
Thank God for Fever Tree.
Thank God. Not a sponsor.
Not sponsor.
Oh my God. Well, I followed the instructions and found a holiday-ish one.
No one gave you instructions.
There were clear instructions. There was clear shaming.
There's...
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, it's holiday adjacent, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I am going to tell you about the Kim family.
Okay.
So it's Thanksgiving 2006.
Okay.
The Kim family, which included Dad James, Mom Katie, and their two daughters, 4-year-old Penelope and 7-month-old Sabine.
I love those names.
I know. James Kim graduated from Ballard High School in Louisville, Kentucky in 1989.
Okay.
I know. Rando, right?
You just threw a fucking curveball at me there. I was oh, Ballard. Okay.
But we will circle back to this area, but there's apparently another Ballard.
Okay.
In 1989, and from Oberlin College in Ohio in 93, where he double majored in government and English and played for the varsity lacrosse team.
Okay.
Yep. He met his wife, Katie, who was a 21-year-old student in Seattle. And I don't know what he had come up to Seattle for. He was in Seattle. He met Katie. She was 21. He was 26.
Okay.
Yeah. Katie said, quote, "I took a road trip with some college friends. It was then that I met James. He was the cutest thing I'd ever seen in my life. We got matching tattoos, and that was pretty much how we met. We were inseparable after that."
Wow. In Seattle?
Yeah.
So they were both traveling and ended up in Seattle at the same time? Wild.
I know.
Okay.
The couple married in Las Vegas in 1999 and later had the 2 girls.
Okay.
Katie said, "We were always going on road trips with the girls. We tried to just include them in everything that we did." So just before Thanksgiving in 2006, the Kims decided to go on a holiday road trip together to spend Thanksgiving with family.
Is this an episode of I Shouldn't Be Alive?
No, I mean, it could be, but that's not what I want. Yeah.
Okay. Sounding like one of those. It's the beginning of one of those.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
How did I just know? I just had this feeling.
know.
I know. It's been happening recently. The story you told me last time, I was like, oh, I see the writing on the wall of this fun
I know.
house.
Not, yeah. The unfun house. Not a fun house.
Road trip, Thanksgiving. Okay.
Mhm. So their close friend Michael said, who was there at Thanksgiving, said, we had a great time. Everyone was happy. They looked a little tired from traveling, but they had plans for the rest of their trip to continue down I-5 to Gold Beach, which is in Oregon.
Where's Oh, so they were in Seattle? They lived in Seattle?
No, they lived in San Francisco. They met in Seattle. They lived in San Francisco.
Okay.
That was my next paragraph. You every time.
I'm so
no,
sorry.
It's okay.
We keep doing this to each other.
You're like, I need some more information. Don't worry, there's more. There's more.
I'm so confused. I need you to just put the whole story into my head all at once, Amber. I can't.
Oh my God. Do you remember Mr. Boogedy?
Oh my God, I was just thinking about Boogedy the other day.
What I just looked like when I did that.
Boogedy.
Just kidding. Okay. They had driven from their home in San Francisco and up to Seattle to spend Thanksgiving there.
Okay.
Then they had plans to stop and visit friends in Portland on their way back down, and then to Gold Beach on the southern Oregon coast, then home to San Francisco.
Okay. That's a really safe trip. I-5 is a safe corridor in the late fall, winter months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in 2006, James was 35, Katie was 30, and at the time they had 2 retail shops that they owned together in San Francisco. I know. This is a very successful couple. The Kims loved road trips and took them often. So Friday, November 17th, 2006, they pack up their 2005 silver Saab station wagon with their 2 girls and head out for the 14-hour drive to Seattle. They spent a week in Seattle before heading to their next stop to visit their friend in Portland. They leave Portland at 5 p.m. to head to Gold Beach on November 25th. And Katie calls ahead to the 222 Lodge to book a room for the night. And she tells the hotel employee that they will be arriving fairly late. I looked this place up and it looks fucking bougie, the 222 Lodge.
Oh, yeah. Is it in Gold Beach, you said? Okay, so it's on the water.
Yeah.
Like on the coast.
Yeah. It's pretty.
Is it like where I guess the I-5 doesn't run on the coast there. It's the 101.
Yeah,
right?
I feel like I saw Gold Beach when we went down the Oregon coast.
Like fairly southern Oregon coast.
Yeah. Yeah. So she calls to book a room, and the lodge employee tells Katie that the road to the lodge is difficult to navigate, especially in the dark, and she advises them to stay somewhere else for the night and check in to the lodge in the morning.
Don't come and go from the lodge when the sun is down?
She just said it's very difficult to find and tricky to navigate at night. So she was concerned about them arriving super late.
Oh, especially maybe if like you're just coming for the first time. Maybe not like if you've been there already and you know what you're doing.
Right.
But if it's your first time down that road, maybe not at night.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
And the winter and all the things, right?
Right.
So, but James is like insistent that this is where they want to stay. So Katie presses and says, no, that we're staying there. And so the employee kind of reluctantly takes the reservation. So 3 hours into the drive, James stops in Roseburg and the family has dinner at a Denny's. They get ready to leave Roseburg around 9 p.m. to get back on the road. And they check their paper map that they're using.
MapQuest.
I know. They're using their paper map before getting back on the highway. So to get to the 222 Lodge, they need to get back on I-5 South and take exit 42. And from there along, they're going to drive along the coast.
Okay.
Exit 42 should have been about 10 minutes down the road. So down I-5. So after 30 minutes of driving, they're thinking we should have seen the exit by now. but they figure that they maybe missed the exit, but instead of turning around and going back, they decide to take another route that will take them west to the coast.
Amber's already like,
I'm uncomfortable.
she's so uncomfortable. This is not the route
No.
we're supposed to go, you guys. We're not just going to fly by the seat of our pants on this one.
Well, they were expert road trippers. They had a map. They were down for an adventure. So they're like, let's do it.
Okay.
So they look at the map and they see about an hour further down I-5, they see Bear Camp Road, which will take them to the coast.
Okay.
So they decide, well, we'll just do that. But what they don't know is that Bear Camp Road is closed from November to June. And it's not maintained at all.
Oh.
It's not barricaded. So they take the Bear Camp Road exit and the terrain is rough, like so rough that James has to stop more than once and move rocks and debris out of the road.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Then
Is this like foothills, mountainous? What's with the...
it's mountainous. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. It's like fallen rocks,
Right.
Okay. So then it starts snowing pretty hard. The snow is coming down so fast that they have really poor visibility, which causes them to miss the signs warning them of unsafe road conditions and that the road should not be traveled on.
Oh, no.
They go for about 20 miles when they get to a fork in the road.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. And left would keep them on Bear Camp Road, which has sucked. But to the right is a paved, clear road that's like really wide and it looks much better to travel. So they go right.
Uh-oh.
But what they don't know is that they are now on logging road 34836.
Uh-huh.
This road is normally locked with a gate during the winter to prevent this very thing from happening. But at this time, the gate is open and so they drive on through. So on this logging road, they are no longer actually headed towards the coast, but they're actually headed further and further into the wilderness.
Yep.
After a few miles, the paved road turns into a single lane gravel road.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get to...
Because it's a logging road.
It's a logging road. Mm-hmm. Then they get to another fork in the road, and James, he turns onto a road that takes them up higher into the mountains.
Oh my God. I can't. Literally at every chance, they take the wrong turn.
They're at an elevation of 3,000 feet with a drop off to their left, and then the snow starts coming down even harder.
Oh my God.
This sounds terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I forget because I've only driven through there like a couple of times that like the very southern section of Oregon is not like there's a whole section of I-5 north of that area all the way up to like basically Vancouver, BC. That's just basically a straight wet drive. Like you'll never, like it's always because you're so close to the ocean and like right, like it's never a dangerous road. But there's that section at the very southern corner of Oregon that is foothills and mountainous and turns and weaves and the whole.
I looked up Bear Camp Road on a map just so I can get an idea, and it's truly just like it's just wilderness everywhere. Like it's just there's nothing. So pretty soon James can't see at all, so he stops the car. Katie tries to call 911, but there's no cell service.
Sure.
So James decides to very slowly start reversing back down the mountain the way that he came. And he opens the driver's side door so he can see the edge of the road while he does this.
Do you remember the story about when Floyd and Kitty drove to Spokane with all of them in the car when they moved to Spokane and the snowstorm they drove through? And like that, remember that brass bed frame that Kitty always had? Was like strapped to the top of the station wagon, and like it was snowing so bad that Floyd like rolled the window down and just had his like his head out the window to try and
God. Oh my God.
like that's what I'm thinking of. Like going like 10 miles an hour down a highway, like
but reversing down a mountain with a drop
no, this is
off
Amber's
on
worst.
one side.
You guys, this is literally one of Amber's worst nightmares. This is
sure.
literally like she will not drive. She will not drive on a snowy road.
Mm-mm.
And even if her life depended on it.
I will not be in.
Nope, I'm dying.
In
I'm
a
dying
mountain
here
pass
today
in the
because
winter. No, I will not.
She won't. She won't do it.
No. So they finally get back to that second junction, the second fork that they veered off of earlier.
Right.
It's 3 a.m. The family is scared and exhausted, so they decide to rest in the car until the sun comes up.
Okay.
In the morning, Katie and James look at their map and try to figure out where they are, but they are so disoriented that they can't tell.
Uh-huh.
Adding to that, they are low on fuel and it has snowed all night.
And now they're snowed in.
Mm-hmm. So they decide to stay where they are at that junction because Katie remembers at that first fork in the road, there was an open gate, so someone would eventually come along. But they don't know that that gate wasn't supposed to be open and that road is
right.
Nobody's coming.
Nobody's coming.
Katie writes a note saying that they are stuck with 2 kids, low on fuel and low on food, and she walks down and attaches it to the open gate. So they are deep in the Oregon wilderness, far off of any normal highway that would have other travelers. They're cold, the kids are uncomfortable, but the family has no choice but to stay another night. So they ration the little amount of food they have. They collect snow in baby bottles to melt so that they can have water. And Katie nurses Sabina along with her 4-year-old Penelope. James writes out a large SOS in the snow, hoping that a plane will see it.
Oh my God.
And they spend another freezing night in the car.
Oh my God.
With 2 babies.
Little ones.
By the 4th day, James is looking at the map when he sees in very small print, not all roads advisable, check weather conditions. So they are running the engine sparingly to warm up the car. By day 6, the baby is almost out of diapers and the car runs out of gas.
Day 6.
Mm-hmm.
Day 6.
Yep. James is able to start a small fire with some magazines that were in the car to help keep them warm. So back home in San Francisco, their house sitter is getting concerned because they should have been home by now. So she contacts the Oregon police and reports the family missing.
Okay.
After 24 hours of searching, the Oregon police come up totally empty. They're like, what the fuck? When they talk to James' sister, she's able to provide a more detailed itinerary of the family's travel, and she tells the police that when they left Portland, they were headed to the 222 Lodge in Gold Beach. So this narrows the search area, but it still is around a 15,000 square mile area.
Right.
They have about 80 people searching for the family on ATVs through the wilderness, but still no sign of them.
Oh my God.
Uh-huh. The Oregon National Guard sends a helicopter, and James's dad hires 3 private helicopters to help in the search.
Oh my God. Oh, they're doing okay.
Yeah. He's like James was also a podcaster and like a tech guy.
Okay.
Yeah. I get the feeling that he's not, I mean, he's incredibly smart, but not wildernessy maybe.
Not a bushman,
no,
as they would say.
No.
Not a bushman. Mm-hmm.
The police are able to identify the family from the CCTV at the Denny's in Roseburg, and they confirm that the family hasn't used their cell phones or their bank accounts since then.
Mm-hmm.
So now they have the search area narrowed down even further to 2,000 square miles.
Okay.
It's been a week since the wrong turn off of I-5 at this point.
Oh my God.
James and Katie haven't eaten anything. They're giving it to Penelope.
Just the kids, yeah.
They keep melting snow for water, and they're able to find some berries, which they also give to Penelope.
Okay.
It's so cold that they can't sleep. So James decides to take the tires off the car and light them on fire, hoping that the thick smoke will get some attention. Like, if they're not
Okay.
going to come find us, maybe they'll find a forest fire, you know?
Okay.
He does this and adds whatever flammable things he can find in the car to get the fire going, and there is thick, dark smoke rising. A few hours later, they hear a helicopter in the distance, and Katie and James stand by the fire and scream and wave their hands, but the helicopter passes over them and keeps going.
Oh God, it's gotta be the worst feeling.
I just had so much anxiety learning about this poor family. Like, I can't even imagine with your two kids.
No, with the two little
Mhm.
ones.
So the fire dies out. They spend another night in the car.
Oh my God.
The next morning, James is looking at the map and he believes that there's a town that is around 4 miles away. He thinks he can hike through the woods and get there.
Oh no, James, no. You're supposed to stay in one spot.
I know. He tells Katie he will be back by 1 p.m. And if he's wrong and there is no town, he will not wander. He will come right back.
Okay.
He is in a light winter jacket, 2 pairs of jeans, and running shoes.
Oh my God, no.
He takes some of the girls' clothing with him that he rips into strips so that he can drop them on the ground and find his way back. And he heads out for his hike at 7:45 a.m. So the search is now on day 3, and 2 mobile phone engineers from Edge Wireless call the Oregon PD and offer their services.
Okay.
They said if they had the couple's cell phone numbers, they could ping their last location. But the police are reluctant to trust this. Like, they don't know who these people are. Right. So they're like, no.
Fucking cops, man.
So employees do their own sleuthing, and they are able to get in touch with the Kim family, like James's dad, and he's able to
Mhm.
get their phone numbers.
Okay.
So they sift through the data and find that one of the phones briefly pinged on a cell tower near Wolf Peak in Glendale, Oregon at 1:30 a.m. the morning after the family was last seen. It was like a sliver moment of service, right? Unbeknownst to them. So now they have a 36-mile search radius around the cell tower.
That's way better.
They know that based on where the family was trying to go and where the phones pinged, that the family would likely be near Bear Camp Road. So back at the car, 1 p.m. comes and goes, and James hasn't returned.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty soon, it's night, it's dark, and he still isn't back.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. By the following morning, he still hasn't returned. They have been stranded for 8 days.
Oh, my God.
And it has been 30 hours since James left.
Oh, my God.
By day 9, there's still no sign of James and no help coming. So Katie decides to hike out with the girls. She bundles up both the girls, straps both of them to her.
Oh, my God.
I know.
Can you even imagine?
No. This woman is a fucking badass.
This fucking mama.
Mhm.
This mama.
Mm-hmm. She rips the mirror off of the car to use it as a signal in case she sees a helicopter or a plane in the sky. Smart. She walks in the opposite direction that James went to, and she walks for 2 hours. But she is so weak and cold, and she sees no sign of other people anywhere, so she ends up turning around and going back to the car.
Oh, my God.
And they spend another night in the car.
Oh, my God.
This is so scary. The next morning, she hears helicopters. And this time they are circling overhead. So I know. So Katie gets out and uses that vanity mirror. She also has a bright pink umbrella that she opens and waves over her head. So finally, on December 4th at 1:45 p.m., she is spotted by the helicopter pilot. So 3 more helicopters circle over, and within 10 minutes, Katie and her 2 girls are airlifted out.
Oh.
God. It was actually a local helicopter pilot who just took it upon himself to help in the search.
Oh my God.
I know. So still no sign of James.
Oh.
This is terrible. So they continue to search the area for him on horseback. They do come across articles of clothing that look like he had left down for his path, the strips of clothing.
Right.
They find his footprints going 5 miles down the logging road and then veering off into a canyon with rough terrain. 2 days after Katie and the girls had been rescued, they still haven't found James. God. So now he's been out there for what? 5 days? On December 6th at 12:03 p.m., James's body is found.
Oh.
He was lying on his back at the base of a canyon near Big Windy Creek. He was fully clothed and carrying a backpack. He had no visible injuries, and his cause of death was hypothermia. I know, that's awful. It was determined that he had died approximately 48 hours after leaving to find help. This is sad. Based on the clothing on the ground and his footprints, it appears as though he walked about 16 miles, but all of that was in circles. He was found less than 2 miles from the car.
He was probably delirious.
Delirious and walking in circles.
Hadn't eaten in over a week.
Mm-mm.
Also, at some point through the story, I started to remember I've heard this story. And it was on an episode of I Shouldn't Be Alive. They did do an episode about
Oh,
this
really?
couple. Yeah.
Oh my
they
gosh. Ugh. And that's the Kim family tragedy. I had no words when I heard that. I can't even imagine with 2 little kids.
did. As soon as the road was shit, they should have just turned around.
I know. And then I also was thinking about the massive amount of calories that Katie is, expelling by breastfeeding,
Right.
and she's not eating.
Yes.
Mm,
Oh, sister.
yeah.
Even having heard that story before, but a long time ago. So it was,
Mhm.
that was,
That poor family.
those poor little girls.
I know.
You guys, well, it's funny because there was this whole moment on the internet where something about some hiking date and some guy that left some gal or took some gal on a hiking date, and it ended up being, do you know what I'm talking about?
Because it was their
10-mile
first
hike.
date, wasn't it? And it went
Yeah.
horribly wrong.
Yeah, and it was a 10-mile hike, and she didn't know it was going to be that much of a hike, and she wasn't prepared for it, and blah, blah, blah. And people in Europe especially were kind of making fun of them. What do you need to go walking? You just need some water or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? And people were because this happened, I think, in Colorado. And people were have you ever been to the Western United States?
Mhm.
I don't think you understand what the terrain is like to go on a hike in the Western United States.
It's not a walk.
It's not a walk.
Mm-mm.
And when they talk about when people say the Wild West, they're talking about cowboys and all that kind of stuff. But I think about the terrain of the West.
Yeah.
I think about the wilderness of the West. I think it is hard for people to grasp, to fathom the vastness and the harshness and the absolute real threat that just the geography and the terrain of the Northwest presents.
Oh, of
to a
course.
human.
And of course you would be
Right?
disoriented when everything looks the same for hundreds of miles.
Yes.
It's very difficult to.
Yes.
Yeah, oh my God.
It's no
It's
joke.
no
It's
joke.
no joke. Winters in the mountains of the Pacific Northwest are no fucking
No
joke.
fucking joke. And every time I hear a story like this of a road trip that went horribly wrong, and then I never do it. I make a mental note of I need
to have this in
Yes,
the car and
yes.
this in the car.
Where's my car emergency kit?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Roadside emergency kit.
I have like
with flares.
I have like a little bit. I have a little bit of an emergency kit. It's not as robust as I would like it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, sister, that was so intense.
Yeah.
That was. Well, we did it.
Join the Chaos Kid Club. Be like Josh.
Be like Josh. Join the club. It's $5 a month. You get a bonus episode every month, and we drop the new episodes a day early every week over there for the Chaos Kids Club members. And once we get to 40 members, we'll have another virtual wine night.
We will. Yeah, we will.
It's a good time over there.
Yeah.
We have a good time.
And you can join as an unpaid member too. We post our pictures over there of the episodes.
Yep.
There's some chit chatty. We'll chit chat back at you.
That's exactly
do
right.
it.
That's exactly right. You can just be a member, free member, and you can see anything that's not behind the paywall. Sister. That was chaotic.
Goodbye.
Love you. Bye.
Crime, Wine, and Chaos is produced by 8th Direction Records. Artwork by Joshua M. Davis. Music by Paul Abner. If you would like to support the show, you can visit our Patreon page at crimewineandchaos.com/Patreon. Cheers! I'm sorry, what's the fiance's name?
Ilona.